According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American is watching more than 2 hours of television a day. It's actually closer to 3 hours of television a day, but I'm going to round down to 2 hours of television or Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime time a day. There are 365 days in a year. What does that mean? That means the average person is watching 730 hours of TV over the course of 1 year. Over the course of the next decade, you're going to watch about 7,300 hours of television time. So when we talk about, I don't have time to learn how to manage my money, I don't have time to earn some extra money, I don't have time to learn how to invest my money, I don't have time to start a business, over the next 10 years, you're going to have thousands of hours thrown away watching Netflix. Over the next 12 months, you're going to have hundreds of hours thrown away just watching Netflix. And by the way, just to put this in context, 730 hours of TV time over the next year is more than 30 days, 30 24-hour days of TV over the next 12 months. This is not 8-hour days. I'm talking about 30 days of 24 hours a day being spent watching just Netflix. 1 month a year is being spent purely consuming TV. What if you could have an entire month of time back? And by month, again, I'm not talking about 8-hour days. I mean 30 24-hour days. There you go, right there. And you're going to say, well, Jaspreet, I need a time to unwind. I need a time to relax. Yeah, relax when you have the wealth. But if you're broke, if you're struggling with money, if you don't know how you're going to pay your bills, this is not the time to be relaxing. This is the time to figure out how do you actually build your wealth. Wealth killer number 5 is buying luxury before assets. Now, I'm not saying buying luxury you can't afford. I'm not saying financing the Gucci, because that's obvious. I'm talking about buying the luxury before your assets. If you have $10,000 in your bank account, pretty much everybody would say that you can afford a $10,000 Rolex. If you have $50,000 in your bank account, pretty much everybody would say that you can afford a $50,000 BMW. But here's the thing, these things are luxury. And when we're talking about buying luxury, I want you to really be able to afford them, which means own the assets before you own that luxury. Which means if you want to buy a $10,000 Rolex, great. You got to first have the cash, but have the investments first. If you have the Rolex, you have the BMW, you have that nice stuff, but you don't have the investment portfolio, you don't have the stocks, you don't have the dividends, you don't have the real estate properties, you're building wealth the wrong way. You look like you're rich, but you're not actually rich. And so if you have a $10,000 Rolex, you better have at least $10,000 in assets before you buy that thing in cash. This is why the rule of thumb that I have, especially when it comes to luxuries, is a rule of 5. If you can't buy 5 of them, you can't afford 1 of them. You want to buy that $10,000 Rolex, you better have at least $50,000. That way you have the money to invest, and then you have the money to buy the Rolex. You better have at least $250,000 in wealth before you buy that $50,000 car. Wealth killer number 6 is not eating at home. This includes your coffee, your tea, your lunches from outside, but again, I want you to hear me very carefully here, because I don't believe that Starbucks is the reason why many Americans, many millennials are broke. But you got to understand what it's costing you at a certain stage of your life. Because the reality is many people are going back to work. And so now, if you have 365 days a year, if 300 of those days you're going out and you're buying a coffee, you're buying Dunkin' Donuts, you're buying a lunch outside, that might be easily, I mean, things are expensive, we'll call it easily $10 a day of just simple expenses, buying a donut here, buying a bagel here, buying a coffee here, buying a tea there, buying a lunch here, very easily, $10 a day. We're talking about an additional $3,000 a year. Now again, depends on the stage of your life. If you can afford it and it's a nice luxury for you, no problem. Go out and buy the Starbucks, buy the Dunkin' Donuts, buy the lunch, I don't care, buy the sweet green. It does not matter to me because you can afford it. But if you're struggling with money right now, you're struggling paying your bills, you don't have any investments, or you don't have a lot of investments, and then you're spending thousands of dollars a year on stupid stuff that you could just make at home for a fraction of this cost. I mean, if you want to make a tea or a coffee at home, it costs a fraction of what it's going to cost you at Starbucks. You want to make a lunch at home, it's going to cost you a fraction of what you're going to pay at Sweet Green. It's a luxury going out and buying those things, which again, I am not against you buying luxuries, I'm just against you buying them when you can't afford them. When you have the money, go out and do whatever you want with it. But if you're struggling with money, stop spending the money on things that you can't afford to. Wealth killer number 7 is greed. Because when you're struggling with money, what do? You want an easy out. You want an easy way to have some extra money, an extra $1,000 a month, an extra $10,000, an extra $50,000, because that could change your life. And so when you're in that situation, you're kind of desperate, you need some extra money, what happens? Well, you get caught up with these simple and easy ways to make a lot of money. Maybe you find some cryptocurrency. Maybe you find a meme coin. Maybe you find some stock that has this huge upside potential because everybody in the internet is talking about if you buy this thing in 6 months, you'll double your money. You'll 5x your money. You'll 10x your money. And it's very easy to get caught up into that when you need that return, because you need the easy way out. And so you get caught up into these bad investments again and again that you keep getting burned on. And now not only do you not get the growth, but you also lost that money that you needed. And then the second form of this greed is you're the one that gets caught up into the get-rich-quick schemes, because you're the one that's desperate, because they can prey on your, hey, let me get you out of your financial despair. Let me get you out of this hopelessness. Let me get you out of this tough situation because you're struggling with money. Buy my program for $9.97, and I'm gonna show you how you can follow my 5-step system to $10,000 a month without even working. Sounds nice, right? The problem is most people are not gonna do that. And now you're buying this, spending this money that you need on something that's only making somebody else rich. And I'm not against you buying education online. There's a lot of great education online. I have spent a lot of money, probably upwards of $1 million at this point, of online education and consulting and coaching, but there's a time and place for it, and you gotta understand what it is that you're buying, because there's a lot of crap out there. There are some people that are just selling you a whole bunch of stupid stuff, just trying to get you to give them their money for some crap scam on how you can get rich quick. But then if you're actually learning something, how do you market? How do you do SEO? How do you do email marketing? How do you build a product? I mean, there's a lot of great products out there, but you got to actually know what it is that you're learning how to do. But this is where, when you don't have the money, you don't have the money to spend, you can get caught up in those systems because you just want to get the easy out. And wealth killer number 7.5, this one didn't fit the script, but I wanted to put this in there anyways, which is why I'm calling this 7.5, is a bad partner. A bad wife, a bad husband, a bad girlfriend, a bad boyfriend, somebody who just isn't aligned with you when it comes to your money. Now, this doesn't mean that if they're not aligned with you, you gotta leave them right away, because sometimes you gotta talk to the person. And if they've never been exposed to financial education before, you gotta go through the learning process. I mean, think about the first time you started learning about money management and investing. It was probably difficult and weird for you, but you gotta start having these money conversations. Because the reality is, if you're working to save money, you're working to earn money, and your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife is spending everything, you got a problem. You're never gonna be able to build wealth unless you both are on the same page. And that means you gotta start talking, and you gotta get on the same page. And a bad partner can cost you a lot, because as an attorney, who's not your attorney, what I can also tell you is that divorce is expensive. Now, I've been very fortunate to meet an amazing wife who supports me, but you gotta get on the same page. And you gotta understand how you can get to the same thing together. Because you might have a wife that wants a lot of nice things. I get it. I'm on the same page with you. But you gotta understand, and she's gotta understand how you can get those nice things and afford those nice things. Maybe you gotta make some sacrifices for a little while, that way you can have more of those nice things, because the problem is sometimes people are thinking emotionally. And when they're thinking emotionally, they can't understand the logic behind it. And so sometimes you gotta understand how to play the game of speaking in those emotions. Okay, you wanna have the nice stuff? I want you to have the nice stuff. I want you to have more of the nice stuff. But in order to have more of the nice stuff, we gotta go through some of these sacrifices today. That way you're working for the same goals instead of just working to spend less and live smaller, because that's not very fun. And you gotta understand why you're doing it. But if you can get on the same page, well, now you can hopefully work together, because if you're not on the same page, it can be extremely difficult. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.